Welcome back to LifeLibrary. Today we're back with Zen, a Carnegie Mellon graduate who will be talking about his internships and his first job after university. So thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Welcome.
So first of all, I'd like to talk about your connections and your networks after you graduated from Carnegie, and also how did they develop during your time there?
Sure. So before going to the university, I was the only Thai student in my high school. After going there, I met a lot of new friends. I get along really well with the Thai friends, and they helped shape me in many ways to who I am currently. I don't know anything coming into the university. All I know is I would like to have a good career afterwards. I'd like to pursue something that I will enjoy and suits my strength. So in many ways, the upperclassmen that I met my first year helped me guide through, like, from financial planning, personal finance, to career, to interview preps, everything I owe to them. Yeah.
So you would say that the experience at Carnegie Mellon and the connections you secured there really helped with your future jobs right now?
I would say so. I don't know much, to be honest, coming in. So them having some experience and having gone through the career interview process and all helped prepare me a lot. Yeah, that is really helpful, because I think one of the key aspects that a lot of people overlook when you go to these prestigious universities is actually the connection that you gain from this experience, and the variety of people you meet, whether you think the same or share different ideas or ideologies. It is really important. So during or after your time at Carnegie Mellon, where did you internship at, and what experience did you gain from there? Okay, so I got my first internship my second year. Back then I don't have any experience. I ran into one dilemma, which is that to get a job you would like to have some experience to stand out from other job candidates, but to get those experience you kind of also need experience beforehand.
Yeah.
So it becomes a chicken and egg problem that I ran into. So back then I used any connections from friends, family to secure the first internship. I got myself into IPG, which is a marketing agency, and I worked with the data science team to help them make some decisions with data. I forgot the details, to be honest, but at least I get to see what it's like to work there, what's useful and what isn't useful from the materials that I learned in class. And spoilers alert, most of the material in class wasn't useful.
Yeah, I was about to ask, that was my follow-up question on actually was the real job experiencing the real job the same as what you learned in the syllabus in the class?
So my perspectives changed a lot during my time at CMU and my time when I started working. Back when I was a student, I tried to study something that seems trendy, something that seems new, novel, and cool. So that was machine learning. But now that I start working and start learning more in the real industry, I figured out that most of the materials taught in school was still in the academics and haven't been applied enough. So most of the materials are not that applicable.
Yeah.
I narrowed down only to specialize only on the things that is needed for my job to be more efficient. But that's a personal decision.
Yeah, and overall, looking back at the internship, did you expect to enjoy it, or how was your overall experience, and did you hate it, did you like it, what was your experience?
There's some frustrating part, like debugging code. I don't enjoy it. It's like finding a pin in an ocean. The enjoyable part is when your insight drives value and actually commit to help make real business decision.
Right.
So that was enjoyable for me, and I like numbers. So working in data science, you kind of have to like numbers.
Yeah.
So that was an enjoyable part.
So did you have any other internships apart from the one that you took in sophomore year?
Yeah. So after my internship during my sophomore year, I realized business managers have many ideas, many like fancy ideas on how to implement the data science projects, but they were lacking a lot of the infrastructure part, the software and the data infrastructure. So I started focusing more on that during my junior internship, and I got myself an internship in data engineering in New York, and it was quite rewarding. It was kind of the missing gap in the like data science stack. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people who are applying to the internship, including like how do you craft a CV and also how do you approach applying for an internship?
Okay. So my first advice is to be less emotional about it. If you don't have a dream company too much, because the application acceptance rate for these jobs is much lower than college.
Even lower than college?
Oh, much lower, much lower.
So even if like the IVs are like 3%, then that would be like
I'd say it's around 3%.
Wow.
But you can apply to unlimited amount of companies. So it becomes a numbers game, a probability game. Sure, the probability of you getting an acceptance is much lower, but the amount of companies you can apply is also much higher. So it's a trade-off that rewards those who apply to a lot.
So it's really good to hear another perspective in that you can apply to so many more companies that would be willing to accept you, but the ones that you want might, since such a low acceptance rate is accepted, don't be like so sad about it and just move on to try more experiences. So what advice would you give for people who are crafting their CVs to send to these internships?
Sure. So when applying to internships or jobs, CV is the first step towards getting an acceptance, of course. Every CV has to be kind of tailored so that it passed through the bot scan and then it passed through the HR human scan. To do so, you kind of want to tailor your CV towards the specific role that you're applying. So for example, if you're a tech, if you're going for software engineer, you would like to have projects and skills stand out. If you're going into banking, you would like quantitative and financial experience to stand out. And depending on the job, what matters is very different. So for banking, the university name and GPA is a lot more important than for like software engineers. So you want to tailor, the idea is you want to tailor so that you pass through the bot and the HR and get to the next step, which is assignment and then interview.
Right. So I actually didn't know this before, that you would have to tailor each CV to a specific company that you want to apply to and also the role. Because I thought generally that the CV is like just a broad application that you send to like every single company. But now that you mentioned it, it's really helpful to go check out your own CV, since obviously the people who are going through those applications will want to see something that stands out. So now I'd like to move on to talk about your first job after CMU. What was it? How was your experience? And how did you gain this first job?
Sure. So I'll go through my application process for this job as well. So now I'm a data scientist at Shopee. During my interview, there were 4 stages. So first was the CV scan. So like I said earlier, once you pass the bot scan and the HR the recruiter scan, you will get an assignment. So for my job role, this would be some coding assessment.
Right. Is this the same for every single application who goes through, or is it tailored?
Every application kind of passed through the bot and the HR.
Right.
But afterwards, the number of interview rounds, the type of interview varies by job, varies by company.
Okay.
So this would be for my company, Shopee. So after this step, there's 3 more steps. So there was the take-home assessment, which is coding, and then there's 2 rounds of interview afterwards. So the first round of interview was a business case and an SQL debug. So they have me debug some code live.
Wow, live.
Yeah.
So if you made any mistakes, then they could like point out how you reacted to it, probably.
Yeah, they want to see how well candidates solve problem. So they throw a code that has a bug, which is something that's wrong in the code, and they want to see if you're able to spot it and correct it. So that was the first round. And then the second round is market sizing, which is estimating some market share or market size of, for my case, it was hair dryers. So that was
that's
a
really
second
interesting.
interview. Yeah.
Yeah, so how has your experience been in your first job? How long did you last in your first job?
I didn't stay here for that long yet. So like this is only my third month.
Oh, so this is still his current job, his first job?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Still learning a lot. Let's see. I like the technical stuff that I learned. There's stuff that I find useful. So in the end, all the math, all the computer science I learned is applied to make this business decision. So anything that seems fancy but not business or feasible, you can throw that off. You want to tailor to make good business decision ultimately.
Yeah, so you would say that overall your first job met your expectations?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's great. And do you have any tips or advice for someone who's picking their first job?
Don't give up. The number of interviews you get actually depends more on the job market performance than how well you prepare, fortunately. But it doesn't hurt to try. The more you try, the likelier you are to get a good job.
Yeah, that is really good advice because it's named first job for a reason as well. I feel like it's your first experience, and then obviously you can quit or you can change or you can just learn from the mistakes or your experience that you have made. So I would like to ask you as a final question, what are you expected to do in 5 years, and is this what you had expected when you were studying at CMU?
So 5 years from now is quite far from me. I know my next step is probably a master's degree, maybe an MBA. I have some excess time that I beforehand didn't have. Every hour after work I can spend preparing for some test prep. So this would be like two to 3 years ago. I would try to apply for a master's program. But 5 years from now, I'm still not sure. Maybe I'll switch career, to be honest.
Really?
Yes.
What are you interested in?
I like quantitative finance.
Right. So it's really amazing, and we're so lucky to have Zen as a Carnegie Mellon graduate with us today, sharing both his experience in episode 1, which is about his path to university to Carnegie Mellon, and also this episode, which is about his internships and first job. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.